Meiosis versus mitosis, and actually, but very proud that I remembered that from high school. And the HR person who's going to interview you is typically a 24-year-old ditz that doesn't know jack about any particular field except HR. So when they ask you questions, it's going to be the questions like, what's your greatest strength and weaknesses? Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Da, 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 da. And they have no ability to discern whether or not you're actually a skilled individual and make a good employee, even though they still employ these people. If you can, circumvent HR as much as possible. You'll go and you apply online, you go through these online application programs like Talio and BrassWing, which I don't know if you're familiar with them. See if you can get to know a hiring manager. If there are networking events, absolutely go to them. But I presume you're going to grad school, right? Okay, never mind. You won't have to worry about it. Well, you'll get hired right out if you're going to be a doctor, so you don't have to worry about it. So you won't talk to HR. But in any case, see if you can bypass that level of bureaucracy. Another trap you want to avoid as you go through your career is what's called progressive credentialism. Understand, in the 1940s, you graduate from high school, you had the tools and the equipment that you could go work at a factory, get a job, and have a standard of living equivalent to middle income family, middle income tax bracket. Well, everyone needed to get a bachelor's degree to advance. Well, now what happens?
You need a master's or more.
You need a master's because everyone has a bachelor's degree. And now you see markets getting flooded with master's degrees, namely law and MBAs. MBAs are worthless now too. And then you start to get certification, like your CPA, your CFP, Six Sigma. There's all these different sorts of certifications out there. And unfortunately what ends up happening is for you to incubate as labor, you're going to be 32, and then finally maybe you have enough certification, educations, and credentials. Well, you've just missed out on 14 years of working. You could have easily worked up $1 million worth of salary over there. Well, not a million, but 800,000 and 750,000 by that time. So try to avoid fields, namely insurance, banking, and the accounting profession, although I still think the CPA is worth it. But the more acronyms you see, the more progressive credentialism it's going to be. And then you get in that trap. You can never get ahead of all the required education, continuing education. So a good question to ask is if they require continuing education as part of the job. Because if that's the case, you're always spending more time getting training than you are actually working. Also, something you can do regardless, enjoy life. The country is not conducive to financial success, so you get to decide if you're going to be taxed the more successful you get, especially if that 105 trillion figure turns out to be correct. But what's great is you have an option. In economics, it's called the leisure versus labor decision. You can forfeit your time and work and pay the taxes and all that other stuff, or you can pursue leisure. Right? And I know you guys are graduating from college, you're really focusing on starting a career and stuff like that. Don't forget the purpose in life is to what? Have fun, have fun, can't wait to work, yeah. Have fun! Play the video games, drink, chase girls, chase boys, ride motorcycles, raise wiener dogs, whatever, eat chocolate, sorry, I had the chocolate, right. So, don't get too wrapped up in your career, realize the purpose is to have fun and that you are going to die. Right? Engage the opposite sex based in reality, not the hokey pokey, but I think we already have that. So boys, buy a motorcycle. I cannot emphasize working out enough. I cannot. And I'm not even that great, but run regular, do not have a gut, stay in shape. Get your own life. Do not pursue, oh Amy, what do you want to do? Go and light up a cigar, say, I think I'm going to climb Hardy's Peak in the Rocky Mountains today, and then grow a beard. And then, oh my goodness, Hercules and that kind of thing. But be your own individual. Don't get, this goes to the ladies too. Don't get wrapped, get wrapped up with somebody else, but the only way you can really get wrapped up in somebody else is if they're really super cool and they do really cool, fun things like play Xbox. Don't be sensitive, or indifference. Okay, ladies, do you like desperation?
No.
No. Maybe the guy's like, oh hey, how you doing? And then he's looking at a bird at a tree. Is that a little bit more safe than... You prefer that as opposed to, hi, Amy, go out with me. That kind of, right, okay, so don't be desperate, we got that. And learn to dance. I cannot emphasize that one enough, guys. Learn to swing, learn to tango, learn to salsa. Do not, listen, this is important, listen to me here, because I know you boys are going to go running, hey, let's go dance. Use it sparingly. Like demonstrate, you know, how, like find the girl, like a friend of yours who knows how to dance, demonstrate at the dance club that you can, and then be charitable and meet out 2 or 3 dances per girl. But that's it. Then you keep the supply limited, keep the price up. You're an economist, you know that. But yes, learning to dance would go very far. Ladies, same thing with guys. Keep an old line, stay in shape. Be nice and support men. Do not fight, nag, antagonize, dramatize, mind games, cry, whine, complain, threaten suicide, throw temper tantrums, slash tires, key cars, threaten, punch, kick, hit, scream, yell, scratch, and any other sort of drama that no guy ever asked for, and to this day we're still trying to figure out why you do these things. Of course, not you girls, but this was for the regular leaders, right? Also, number 50-50-25 a guy, which means stand up. 50% no times 50% show equals a 25% go. The majority of the times when you guys get out there, you'll ask a girl out, she'll say yes, you'll be all excited, but that's a 50% no. Well, she said yes, so you've done that 50% hurdle. There's a 50% chance whether she actually shows up, which means from the get-go, you only got a 25% chance of going on the date. So, always have a backup plan. Why? Did she do that to you? Or? No. No? Okay, good. Then hold on to her. Right. Now, if you have no faith in America, you have a fight or flight option. You're going to flight if you have no faith here. So, one option to move out of the United States. There are several countries out there that are growing or aren't as bad, dire economic financial shape as the United States. Namely Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Hong Kong, Denmark, Norway. And if you can get to the Caymans or Bermuda or one of the Caribbean tax havens, I'd recommend that. If you're willing to learn a foreign language, you could consider China, though I think China's in a bubbly state right now, but I haven't really studied it enough to have an official opinion on it. If you don't want to move out, or you can consider maybe getting a second residency outside of the United States, that's one thing. You can also invest in foreign countries, like I told you there before, your ETFs and your bonds. Another thing to consider is if you can't beat them, join them. Okay? I focus or emphasize or advocate engineering, STEM, mathematics, in terms of those fields. However, if you're going to be taxed to death, you might as well join the socialist forces and benefit from that. Okay? Because even though the Soviet Union, you think, oh, it's poverty-stricken, there were rich people in the Soviet Union. They were the bureaucrats that worked in the government, the politicians. So, espouse socialism, join the Democrat Party, get a degree in education, go become a teacher, and you don't laugh. That's great because you get 9 months of real work. Then you get 3 months off, and it's pretty easy. I used to teach college, so it wasn't that hard. But then you get a great pension, you get good health care, and you always get to hide behind the children. The kids they're never going to unfund the children. So I'm trying to what I'm trying to say here. Like it's a secure job. No, it's not a secure job.
They're firing a lot of teachers. It's very downsizing.
Okay.
Financial education are not very good right now.
Okay, well, still, consider it. If you get in, it's hard to get rid of you, and you'll have a severance package. I mean, most private companies say to hell with you when you're gone, and there's no severance package. So consider that. In other words, enjoy the GSA life. Remember GSA? Have you guys seen that in the news? This is a government organization where they found out they're spending like $750,000 on a Hawaiian trip for these employees at the taxpayer expense. No. They're starting to find out there's more and more of these lavish parties going, fine, yeah, take advantage of it. You might as well be on the winning side. Alright, now if you still have faith in America, you're going to have to stick around, you're going to have to fight, but realize the uphill battle you got. Socially, politically speaking, most people in this country want socialism. They don't realize it, that socialism. They just like having free stuff, and they care about the puppies and the children and healthcare and flowers and stuff like that. They don't consider the financial consequences because they frankly are ignorant and too lazy to go look up the federal budget. So you're fighting ignorance, which is harder than fighting a real enemy. It's hard to fight someone who doesn't want to listen to rationalization and have intellectually honest talk. I will equate it to a Herculean level as fighting World War II, except instead of guns and bullets, it's that of words and a political or social revolution that you're going to have to take on. But do realize it's very noble. You're fighting for the greatest thing that's ever happened on the face of the planet, and that is liberty, freedom. Okay, you can call it Americanism if you want, but having people be free and set out to do their own and not be beholden or enslaved to a government or another man is a great thing. Now, Now, there is hope because there is one way out of this mess. So there's only one way out of this mess, and it's the only thing that solves any financial crisis, and that is massive economic growth. And it's not that we don't have the capacity or the ability to do it. We certainly have the educated workforce, at least in STEM and stuff like that. It's getting people to realize that this is what we have to do. If we channeled our efforts and our technology and our resources the way the Chinese do, and on top of it, without government intervention, which the Chinese do through their state-owned enterprises, we could have that 4.25% growth again, probably even more because we've so run down not our infrastructure, but our economy that there's a lot more capacity. And as you saw when we converted things into GDP, realize debt is the numerator. If your GDP grows, you know, consider you say, well, how many you guys got? Well, let's say you roughly got $20,000 in student debt when you graduate. Is that about right?
Yep.
Okay, so 20,000. That's a lot of money, right? Okay, if you have $20,000 in debt and you only make $10,000 a year, that's a lot. You got a ratio of 200%. But if you graduate from college and instead of making $10,000 a year, you made $60,000 a year, all of a sudden your debt ratio went from 200% GDP down to 33% GDP. So if the denominator grows good and fast and powerfully, your debt situation, a lot of these problems will go away. And we've done it before. We had the Great Depression, we had the Volcker recession, Reagan came in. You know, it is possible. I personally don't have that much faith in the individual unit of America anymore. So I still advocate recommending having a backup plan. Have a really good skill, be prepared to go and apply for jobs overseas, you know, just have investments overseas, and I'm not saying like a Swiss bank account, but have some kind of exposure overseas. Any questions? Yes?
You keep saying, have a really good skill, have a really good skill, but I think people's definitions of a good skill are probably...
Oh yeah, they're across the board, right.
So what would you say?
Well, if you buy the book, you look at the book, or you just go on the internet, look up starting salaries. And the great thing about starting salaries is that is the labor market telling you mathematically how valuable skills are. So, I mean, if I can recreate the chart here, if I have my marker.
It's over there.
Oh, okay, never mind. You know, petroleum engineers are, I think they make 60 grand coming out of college, and that's bachelor's, that's wet behind the ears kid, no experience, that's 60 grand. Chemical engineers, the same kind of thing, computer engineers. Then you get into the accounting finance world where it's the 50s, maybe mid 40s. And then at the bottom are fields that frankly just aren't tough, like early childhood education and development. I mean, that's babysitting. That's a bachelor's degree in babysitting. Well, you watch over kids, and then you make $20,000 a year, $25,000 a year starting salary. One of the things, I don't know if you look inside there, I do a thing where I compare. I have my students list everything they want to buy, what they're the most interesting things they want. Oh, what are you going to buy? I want to buy a thing of gas. I want to buy an MP3. Well, then you compare what they're majoring in, and it's sociology, English, blah, 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 and there's a complete mismatch between what everybody wants and what they're majoring in. So you want to go and major in the fields of the stuff that people want, and everyone wants an iPod or things that people need, gas, electricity, computers, things like that. So a skill in terms of something that produces something of economic value, or something like a traditional skill like a tradesman or a craft of carpentry or plumbing and things like that. Yes?
What would you say the value of concentration would be, or if it really has any value or not so much?
A concentration? Oh, I see. Like you get,
yeah.
like you get a degree in business with an emphasis on finance. Or, it depends on the emphasis, really. For example, business. A general business degree is quite worthless. But if you get a business degree with a focus in MIS, Management Information Systems, where you learn how to set up computer networks, that can be very lucrative. So the concentration wouldn't matter, but it really depends on what that concentration is. If you got, well, I have a degree in women's studies with a concentration on hating men, well, it ain't gonna really, you know. I have a degree in philosophy with an emphasis on Bulgarian literature, you know, okay, that's not really gonna help. Anything else? No?
When you're talking about crowding out, and you're showing how government expenditures was
Increasing?
increasing, and then